He's following me. Please don't let him take me. A 5-year-old girl grabbed a stranger's hand in a park, not her father's, not a police officer's, a massive biker covered in tattoos, because he was the only person left to ask. She'd been stalked for 26 days. The police said she was imagining things. Her own parents stopped believing her. A psychologist called it anxiety. But the man in the red cap was real. He had photographs of her. He had zip ties in a bag. He was 5 days away from taking her. And the biker she grabbed? He made one phone call. By morning, 170 bikers were hunting the predator no one else would stop. If this story touches your heart, please like, subscribe, and follow this story all the way to the end. Comment the city you're watching from so I can see how far this story travels. Emma Lawson first saw the man in the red cap 26 days ago. She was walking out of Westfield Elementary, holding her frozen backpack with both hands because the zipper was broken and she didn't want her crayons to fall out. Her mother, Rachel, was parked in the pickup line, third car from the front, tapping her phone like she always did. Emma stopped on the sidewalk. Across the street, standing next to the fire hydrant, a man was watching her. He wasn't moving, wasn't talking to anyone, wasn't pretending to do anything at all. He just stood there, hands in his jacket pockets, a red baseball cap pulled low over his eyes. Emma's stomach twisted into a knot she didn't have words for. She got in the car fast. "Mommy, there's a man looking at me." Rachel glanced up from her phone. "What man, baby?" "Over there, by the fire thing. He has a red hat." Rachel looked across the street. A man was walking away, his back turned. Red cap. She watched him for a moment, then shrugged. "He's probably waiting for his own kid, sweetie. Buckle up. He doesn't have a kid. He was alone. Emma, buckle your seatbelt." Emma buckled her seatbelt. She didn't say anything else the whole ride home, but she kept turning around to look through the back window, and her hands wouldn't stop shaking. The next day he was there again. Same spot, same red cap, same empty stare that went right through her like she was made of glass. Emma didn't tell her mother this time. She just got in the car and pressed her face against the window and watched him until he disappeared. On the third day, he smiled at her. Not a nice smile, not the kind of smile her teacher gave her or the kind her daddy made when she showed him a drawing. This smile had no warmth in it at all. It was like looking at something pretending to be a person and getting the mouth wrong. That night, Emma couldn't sleep. She lay in her bed with the covers pulled up to her chin and her stuffed rabbit, Mister, buttons pressed against her chest, and she listened to every sound the house made. Creak, wind, something brushing against the window. "Mommy!" Rachel came running. "What is it, baby? What happened?" "He's outside. The man. He's outside my window." Rachel checked the window. Nothing. She checked the backyard. Empty. She checked the front porch, the driveway, the street. Nobody. "There's nobody there, Emma. You had a bad dream." "I wasn't sleeping. I heard him." "Honey, old houses make noises. It was probably a tree branch." "It wasn't a tree branch." Rachel sat on the edge of Emma's bed and stroked her hair. "I know it feels real, baby, but nobody is outside. You're safe. Daddy and I are right down the hall." Emma wanted to scream. She wanted to grab her mother's face and make her understand. But she was 5 years old, and 5-year-old words weren't big enough for what she was feeling. "Okay, Mommy." Rachel kissed her forehead and left the door cracked open with the hallway light on. Emma didn't close her eyes for the rest of the night. By the end of the first week, the man in the red cap had stopped being just at school. He was everywhere. At the Kroger on 5th Street, standing at the end of the cereal aisle while Rachel compared prices on granola bars. Emma saw him and grabbed her mother's legs so hard, Rachel almost dropped the cart. "Emma, what on earth?" "He's here! The red hat man! He's right there!" Rachel looked down the aisle. A man in a red cap was examining a box of Cheerios. He didn't look up, didn't acknowledge them at all. Sweetheart, that could be anyone. Lots of people wear red hats. It's him, Mommy. I know it's him. You can't know that just from a hat. His face, Mommy. I know his face. Rachel crouched down. Her voice was patient, but there was something underneath it now, something tired. Emma, I need you to listen to me. Sometimes when we're scared of something, we start seeing it everywhere. It's called, I'm not making it up. I didn't say you were making it up. Your voice sounds like you think I'm making it up. Rachel opened her mouth, then closed it. She looked down the aisle again. The man was gone. Let's just finish shopping, okay? Emma didn't let go of her mother's leg for the rest of the trip. That Saturday, Tyler Lawson was home. He worked road construction, 12-hour shifts that kept him away from Monday through Friday most weeks. Emma had been waiting all week to tell him, Daddy, there's a man following me. Tyler was eating cereal at the kitchen table, still half asleep. What kind of man? He wears a red hat. He watches me at school, and he was at the store, and I think he comes to our house at night. Tyler looked at Rachel. Rachel's expression said, We've been through this. Come here, Bug. Tyler pulled Emma onto his lap. Tell me everything. She told him. Every detail. The fire hydrant, the smile, the Kroger, the sound at her window. She told him about the time she saw the man standing across the street when she was playing in the front yard, and how he walked away when Rachel came outside. She told him about the time at the library when she went to get a book about horses, and the man was already in that section, not reading, just standing there. And when she moved to a different section, he followed. Tyler listened without interrupting. When she was done, he held her tight. I believe you, Bug. Emma burst into tears. She cried so hard she couldn't breathe. 3 words. After all those days of nobody listening, 3 words split her open. You believe me? Yeah, baby, I believe you. But then Tyler went to the kitchen, and Emma heard him talking to Rachel in that low voice parents use when they don't want kids to hear. She's been like this for a week, Tyler. I've looked every single time. There's never anyone there. She's pretty specific about the details. She's 5. She saw a man in a hat, and now every man in a hat is the same man. The pediatrician said it could be separation anxiety. She's been clingy since you started the new schedule. So this is my fault? That's not what I said. It's what you meant. Tyler, I'm just as worried as you are, but I can't keep chasing shadows. I've checked every window, every corner, every parking lot. There's never anyone there. Emma sat on the stairs listening, and she felt something inside her collapse. Even Daddy. Even Daddy, who said he believed her, was going to stop. She went upstairs and drew a picture. The man in the red cap standing behind a tree. She drew herself in front of the tree, very small. She drew the word help in big red letters at the top. She put it under her pillow and didn't show anyone. Week 2. Rachel took Emma to see Dr. Calloway, a child psychologist with a soft voice and an office full of stuffed animals. Emma, can you tell me about the man you've been seeing? He wears a red cap. He follows me. How does that make you feel? Scared. What are you scared he'll do? Emma pulled Mr. Buttons tighter. Take me. Take you where? I don't know. Away. Dr. Calloway nodded and wrote something in her notebook. Later, she spoke to Rachel and Tyler in the hallway, while Emma sat in the waiting room counting fish in the aquarium. It's not uncommon for children her age to develop fixations on perceived threats. She's at a developmental stage where her imagination is extremely vivid, and she's processing the concept of danger in the world around her. So she's making it up, Tyler said. Not intentionally. Her brain is interpreting normal stimuli through a filter of anxiety. She may have seen someone once who made her uncomfortable, and now she's projecting that discomfort onto similar-looking strangers. What do we do? Reassurance, routine, validate her feelings without reinforcing the fear. And if the anxiety continues, we can discuss therapeutic options. Rachel nodded. Tyler said nothing. His jaw was tight. In the car, Emma said, "She doesn't believe me either." "Baby, nobody believes me. He's going to take me and nobody's going to know because nobody believes me." Rachel started crying. She pulled the car over and turned around and grabbed Emma's hands. "I believe you, Emma. I do." "Then why did you take me to the doctor who says I'm crazy?" "She didn't say you're crazy. She said I'm imagining things. That's the same as crazy." Rachel had no answer. She drove home in silence while Emma stared out the window, watching every car, every pedestrian, every red cap that floated through the world like a warning nobody else could read. Tyler called the police that night. Officer Rick Daniels came to the house. He had a shaved head and a thick mustache and a notepad he clicked his pen against while Emma talked. "So you've seen this man multiple times?" "Yes." "Can you describe him for me?" "He's regular-sized, brown hair, thin. He always wears a red hat." "And he's never spoken to you? Never tried to touch you?" "No, he just watches." "Has he ever followed you in a vehicle?" "I don't know. Maybe. I don't know what car he drives." Officer Daniels looked at Tyler and Rachel. "I understand this is concerning, but without a specific threat, a license plate, a name, there's not much we can do legally. Being in public spaces isn't a crime." "A man is stalking my 5-year-old daughter," Tyler said, his voice rising. "That's not enough?" "Sir, I hear you, but we need evidence of stalking behavior. Repeated presence in public areas doesn't meet the legal threshold. If he approaches her, if he makes contact, if you can get a photo or a plate number, call me immediately." He handed Tyler his card. Tyler looked at it like it was a piece of garbage. "That's it? That's all you've got?" "I wish I could do more. I really do. Keep your eyes open. Document everything." After Daniels left, Tyler put his fist through the drywall in the hallway. Rachel jumped. Emma didn't. She just sat at the kitchen table with her crayons and drew another picture of the man in the red cap. This time he was closer. This time she drew him standing at her bedroom window. Week 3 broke something in Emma. She stopped talking about the man. Not because she stopped seeing him, but because she understood that talking about him did nothing. Nobody would help. Nobody could help. She was alone with this. She developed a routine. Check the windows before bed. Check behind the shower curtain. Check the closet. Lock the bathroom door even when she was just brushing her teeth. Never walk anywhere alone, not even from the car to the front door. Rachel noticed the silence and thought it was improvement. She hasn't mentioned the man in days. Maybe Dr. Calloway was right. Maybe it was a phase. Tyler wasn't convinced. He started driving by Emma's school during lunch breaks, scanning the perimeter for anyone in a red cap. He never found anyone, but twice he noticed footprints in the mulch beneath Emma's bedroom window. Rachel said they were probably from the landscaping crew. Tyler didn't argue, but he installed a motion sensor light on that side of the house. The light went off 3 times in 1 week. Each time, by the time Tyler got outside, there was nothing there. "Probably raccoons," Rachel said. Tyler started sleeping with a baseball bat beside the bed. On the 26th day, a Saturday, Rachel decided the family needed something normal. "Let's go to Riverside Park, get some sun, be a family." Emma didn't want to go. Going outside meant he could see her. Staying home meant walls and locks and hiding places. But her parents needed her to be normal. Needed her to pretend she wasn't drowning in terror every second of every day. So she put on her pink jacket and her sneakers and got in the car. Riverside Park was crowded. Families on blankets, kids on the playground, joggers on the trail. Rachel spread out a blanket near the pond. Tyler tossed a foam football into his bag. For an hour, they pretended everything was fine. Then Emma saw him, the man in the red cap, walking along the main path, less than 50 feet away, coming closer. Her sandwich fell into the grass. Her body went rigid. The air in her lungs turned solid. "Emma? Honey, what's—" "Bathroom." The word came out strangled. "I need the bathroom." She stood up and walked fast, not toward the restrooms. She didn't have a plan. She just had to move, had to get away from that path, from those eyes that had been hunting her for 26 days. She glanced back. He had changed direction. He was following her. Emma's vision blurred with tears. This was it. This was the day. He was going to catch her and take her, and nobody would know until it was too late, and nobody would believe her even then. She scanned the park through her tears. Families too far away, playground too open, dog walkers on distant paths. Then she saw him, a man sitting alone on a bench near the oak trees. He was the biggest person Emma had ever seen. His arms were covered in tattoos. He wore a leather vest with patches on it. His face looked like it was carved from rock. He was the kind of person her mommy would cross the street to avoid. He was also the only person close enough to save her. Emma ran. Jake Hammer Brennan had been sitting on that bench for 47 minutes. 2 years ago today, he had pushed his daughter Mia on those swings over there, the blue ones. She had laughed so hard she got the hiccups. He had bought her a strawberry popsicle, and she'd gotten it all over her face, and he'd taken a picture that was still the lock screen on his phone. 3 months after that picture, Danielle had packed up Mia and moved to Portland. No warning, no discussion, just a voicemail that said, "I can't do this anymore, Jake. We're gone." 2 years of lawyers, 2 years of court dates that went nowhere, 2 years of supervised visits that Danielle always had a reason to cancel. Mia's birthday was next week. She would be 6. Jake had a present wrapped in his saddlebag that he'd probably end up mailing because Danielle wouldn't answer his calls. He came to this bench every year on this day, some kind of penance, some kind of prayer. He was drowning in it when the little girl appeared. Small, 5 maybe, blonde hair and pigtails, pink jacket, eyes so full of terror it hit him like a physical blow. She grabbed his hand with both of hers, both of them, like he was the only thing between her and the end of the world. "He's following me, please. He's been following me for weeks, and nobody believes me, and he's right there, and please, please don't let him take me." Jake's head came up. A man was approaching. Thin build, brown hair, red baseball cap, maybe 30 feet out, walking with a purpose that had nothing casual about it. His eyes were locked on the girl. Jake had spent 15 years in a world where you learned to read people, or you ended up dead. He had seen con men and killers and liars and thieves. He knew what a predator looked like, the same way a deer knows what a wolf looks like. In the blood, in the bones, in the part of the brain that existed before language. This man was a predator. Every cell in Jake's body confirmed it. "What's your name, sweetheart?" "Emma Lawson." "Okay, Emma, you get behind me right now. Get behind me and don't move." Emma scrambled behind the bench and pressed herself against his back. She was shaking so badly he could feel it through the wood. Jake stood up, 6'3", 250 pounds, arms like bridge cables, a face that had ended more arguments than his fists ever had. Tattoos running from his knuckles to his neck, each one a chapter in a story most people didn't want to read. The man in the red cap stopped. For 3 seconds, nobody moved. The park noise faded to nothing. There was only this, predator and protector, calculating, measuring, understanding. The man smiled. The same cold, empty smile Emma had described. The smile that had haunted her for 26 nights. Then he turned and walked away. Not fast, not panicked, controlled, like a hunter who had spotted a bigger hunter and decided to wait for another day. Jake watched him until he disappeared around a bend toward the parking lot. Then he pulled out his phone and called the one number he trusted more than his own judgment. "Bone." "Yeah, brother. I need you at Riverside Park, right now. Bring everyone you can reach, every single one." "What's happening?" Jake looked down at Emma, this tiny girl who had just done the bravest thing he'd ever seen. She was still pressed against his back, still shaking, still holding onto his vest with both hands. Someone's hunting a child, and he just made the worst mistake of his life. He hung up and crouched down to Emma's level. "Emma, is there someone here with you? Your parents? They're by the pond. They don't believe me about the man. They'll believe you now." "How do you know?" "Because I believe you, and I'm going to make sure everyone else does too." Emma looked up at him. She had tear tracks on her cheeks and grass stains on her knees, and eyes that had carried a weight no 5-year-old should ever know. "Promise?" Jake put his massive hand over both of hers. "I promise, Emma. On my daughter's life, I promise. That man is never going to get close to you again." For the first time in 26 days, Emma Lawson took a full breath. And 2 miles away, heading north on Route 33, a man in a red cap gripped his steering wheel and planned his next move, not knowing that the little girl he'd been hunting had just activated something he couldn't outrun. 170 bikers were coming, and there wasn't a place on earth where he could hide. Rachel found Emma 19 minutes later. She had been running through the park screaming her daughter's name, mascara streaking down her face. Tyler sprinting in the opposite direction, checking behind every building and restroom and dumpster. 19 minutes of pure, white-hot terror that burned away every rational thought she'd ever had. What she found stopped her cold. Emma was sitting on a park bench next to the largest, most intimidating man Rachel had ever seen. He was covered in tattoos. He wore a black leather vest with patches. He had hands the size of dinner plates. And her daughter, her 5-year-old daughter, was eating a cherry popsicle and talking to him like she'd known him her entire life. "Emma!" Rachel ran so fast she nearly tripped. Tyler was 30 seconds behind her, and when he saw the biker, his whole body changed. His shoulders squared, his fists clenched. Every protective instinct he had fired at once. "Get away from my daughter, right now." Jake didn't stand up, didn't flinch, didn't react to the aggression at all. He just looked at Tyler with steady eyes and said, "Your daughter came to me for help, and she needed it." "Help? What are you talking about? Emma, come here right now." Emma didn't move. She pressed closer to Jake's side. "He saw him, Daddy. Hammer saw the man in the red cap." The name meant nothing to Tyler. "Who the hell is Hammer? Emma, I said come here." "That's me," Jake said. "And before you drag her away, you need to hear what just happened." "I don't need to hear anything from you. I need my daughter." "Tyler," Rachel put her hand on his arm. Her voice was shaking. "Let him talk." "Rachel, let him talk." Jake kept his voice low, controlled. 10 minutes ago, your daughter ran to me crying. She said a man in a red cap has been following her for weeks. She said nobody believed her. She begged me not to let him take her." Rachel's hand flew to her mouth. "I looked up and there he was. Thin guy, brown hair, red baseball cap, walking straight toward your daughter with purpose. I stood up. He stopped. He looked at me. He looked at Emma. And he walked away toward the east parking lot." Tyler's fists unclenched. His face shifted from anger to something worse. "You saw him." "I saw him." "You actually saw the man she's been telling us about." "I didn't just see him. I read him. That man is a predator. I've seen enough of them to know. The way he moved, the way he tracked her, the way he calculated whether I was a threat before deciding to pull back. That man has done this before." Rachel sat down on the bench like her legs had given out. She pulled Emma into her lap and held her so tight, Emma squeaked. "Oh, God! Oh, my God! Emma, I'm sorry! Baby, I'm so sorry!" "You believe me now?" Rachel was sobbing too hard to answer. She just nodded and rocked Emma back and forth. Tyler pulled out his phone. "I'm calling the police." "Already done," Jake said. "But I wouldn't count on them. Your daughter told me they've already been called once. They didn't do anything." "Then what do you suggest?" "I suggest you let me and my people handle the part the police can't." "Your people?" The sound hit them before Jake could answer. Engines, not one or two, dozens. A deep, rolling thunder that shook the ground and turned every head in Riverside Park. Motorcycles poured through the main entrance, one after another, chrome catching sunlight, exhaust rumbling like an approaching storm. Tyler stepped back. Rachel pulled Emma tighter. Even Emma stared. "Who are they?" Tyler asked. "My brothers." 43 motorcycles lined up along the parking area in under 2 minutes. Men dismounted, big men, tattooed men, men in leather vests with patches that matched Jake's. They moved with a coordination that looked almost military. A wiry man with a shaved head and wire-rimmed glasses approached first. He didn't look like the others. He looked like an accountant who'd accidentally put on a leather vest. But there was something in his eyes, sharp, calculating, missing nothing. "Bone," Jake said. "East parking lot, gray or silver sedan." He headed that direction 8, maybe 10 minutes ago. Red baseball cap, brown hair, thin build, 5'9" or 5'10". Bone didn't ask questions. He turned and pointed at 6 men. They moved toward the east lot without a word. "Who are you people?" Rachel whispered. "My name is Jake Brennan. I ride with the Iron Wolves out of Columbus. These are my brothers." "You're a gang?" "We're a brotherhood. And right now we're the best thing that ever happened to your family." Tyler watched the bikers spread through the park. Some headed for exits, some questioned vendors. 2 posted up at the playground entrance. It was systematic, professional. "You've done this before," Tyler said. "Not exactly this, but close enough." Bone called back within 4 minutes. "Found the car, silver Nissan Altima, Indiana plates, hotel parking tag on the mirror from a place on Route 33. He's gone, but the car's still here. He'll come back for it. Already got 2 brothers on it. If he comes within 100 yards, we'll know." Jake looked at Tyler. "I need you to stay calm, and I need you to listen to me carefully. That car has Indiana plates. That means this man traveled here. He didn't stumble onto your daughter by accident. He came looking." Rachel made a sound like she'd been punched. "I'm going to have Bone run those plates. He has contacts who can get information fast. If this man is who I think he is, there's going to be a record. And once we have a name, we can give the police something they can actually act on." "Why?" Tyler asked. "Why are you doing this? You don't know us." Jake was quiet for a moment. When he spoke, his voice had a crack in it he couldn't hide. "Because I have a daughter too. She's almost 6. I haven't held her in 2 years because I made mistakes, and her mother took her away, and the system let it happen. I couldn't protect my own kid, but I can protect yours." Nobody said anything. Tyler looked at this biker, this criminal, this stranger, and saw something he hadn't expected. Pain. Real, raw, unmanageable pain. The same pain Tyler would feel if someone took Emma. "Okay," Tyler said. "Tell us what to do." Bone worked fast. Within 90 minutes he had a name, and the name changed everything. Derek Allen Pruitt, age 41, born in Terre Haute, Indiana, registered sex offender, failed to report address changes in 3 states, outstanding warrants in Indiana, Kentucky, and West Virginia, 2 prior arrests, 1 conviction that was overturned on a technicality, suspected in at least 4 other cases that never went to trial. Bone read the details out loud while Jake, Tyler, and Rachel sat in the Mitchell's kitchen. Emma was in the living room watching cartoons with a biker named Dutch sitting on the floor beside her, looking absurdly large next to her tiny body. His last known incident was in Fort Wayne. 6-year-old girl named Olivia Marsh. He stalked her for 6 weeks, watched her at school, her house, the park, left small items near her home. "What kind of items?" Rachel asked. "Candy wrappers, hair accessories, things that could look accidental." Rachel went white. "Oh God, last week I found a hair ribbon on our back fence, pink with little flowers. I thought Emma left it there. Was it hers?" "No, I asked her. She said it wasn't hers. I threw it away. I didn't think. It wasn't yours to think about, Jake said firmly. You had no reason to connect a ribbon to a stalker that nobody confirmed was real. But it was real. It was him. He was leaving things at our house. Yes. Rachel put her face in her hands. Tyler stood up and walked to the window. He stared at the street he'd driven down 1,000 times, the sidewalk where Emma rode her tricycle, the yard where she chased butterflies. All of it contaminated now. What happened to the girl in Fort Wayne? Tyler asked without turning around. Bone hesitated. Tell me. She was taken from a park, broad daylight. He'd mapped her routine so perfectly that he knew exactly when she'd be alone for 90 seconds. That's all it took. Was she? She was found alive. 48 hours later, a truck driver spotted Pruitt's vehicle at a rest stop and called it in. The girl was in the trunk. Rachel threw up in the kitchen sink. Tyler's hands were shaking so badly he had to grip the counter. He was going to do that to Emma. Yes, Jake said. He didn't soften it, didn't wrap it in maybes or possibilities. He was building toward exactly that. The watching, the following, the gifts. It's a pattern. He was mapping Emma's life, learning every routine, every vulnerability, every moment when she might be accessible. How long? Based on his history, he was probably weeks away, maybe less. The fact that he was at the park today, that he was approaching her directly, he was accelerating. Tyler sat down. His legs wouldn't hold him anymore. We called the police. We took her to a psychologist. We did everything we were supposed to do. And the system failed you. It fails a lot of people. So what now? What do we actually do? Jake leaned forward. Right now, 2 of my brothers are watching Pruitt's car. 2 more are outside your house. I've got 8 guys checking every motel, every rental, every boarding house within 20 miles. If this man is sleeping somewhere in Columbus, we'll find it before sunrise. And when you find him, we hand everything to the police and make damn sure they do their job this time. What if they don't? Jake held Tyler's gaze. Then we make sure he can't get near Emma ever again. Legally, publicly, in a way that follows him everywhere he goes. Tyler nodded slowly. You really think you can find him? He left his car at the park. That means he had a second way out. A bus, an Uber, someone picked him up. But his stuff is in that car. His routine is in that car. He'll come back for it, or he'll go to wherever he sleeps. Either way, we'll be there. At 11:47 that night, Bone called. Got him. He's been renting a room 6 blocks from Emma's house. A boarding house on Maple Street. Landlord says he's been there 2 months. Paid cash. Told her he was a traveling salesman. 6 blocks. The man who'd been hunting Emma had been sleeping 6 blocks from her bedroom for 2 months. Tyler nearly drove there himself. Rachel had to physically stand between him and the front door. Tyler, don't, please. Let them handle it. He's been living 6 blocks away, Rachel. 6 blocks. While Emma was having nightmares, while we were telling her she was imagining things, he was 6 blocks away planning to take our daughter. I know, but if you go over there and do something, you go to jail and Emma loses her father. Is that what you want? Tyler punched the wall. Then he punched it again. Then he slid down to the floor and cried. Rachel sat beside him, and they held each other in the hallway while their daughter slept upstairs, guarded by a biker named Dutch, who would have died before letting anyone through that door. The next morning, things got worse. Jake sent 2 brothers to do a quiet reconnaissance of Pruitt's room at the boarding house. The landlord, a heavy-set woman named Gloria, who asked no questions when they showed her a photo of Pruitt and told her he was a registered sex offender, let them look through the window of his room while he was out. What they saw made hardened bikers go quiet. Photos, taped to the wall above a small desk. Children, dozens of them. Different parks, different schools, different cities. And in the center, arranged in a neat grid, Emma Lawson. At school, at Kroger, in her front yard, through the gap in her backyard fence. One photo, zoomed in tight, showed Emma's bedroom window at night, the curtains slightly open, a sliver of pink nightlight visible inside. He had been watching her sleep. Bone photographed everything through the window without touching anything. He called Jake. "It's bad, brother. Real bad. This isn't just Emma. There's at least 7 other kids on that wall. Different states, different years. This guy has a whole system. Get those photos to my lawyer. Every single one. I want a meeting with the police by this afternoon, and this time they're going to listen. One more thing." "What?" "There's a bag on the bed. Duffel bag, partially open. I could see zip ties, a roll of duct tape, and something that looked like a small stuffed animal. Brand new, tags still on." Jake's blood went cold. The stuffed animal, a lure, something to make a child trust him for the 3 seconds he needed. He was close, Jake. Days, maybe, this week. Jake hung up and sat in silence for a full minute. Then he called Tyler. "I need you and Rachel to come to the clubhouse. Don't bring Emma. Leave her with someone you trust." "What happened?" "Just come." "And Tyler?" "Yeah. Whatever you're thinking, it's worse." Tyler and Rachel arrived at the Iron Wolves clubhouse 40 minutes later. They looked like they hadn't slept. Rachel's eyes were swollen. Tyler had bandaged knuckles from the wall. Bones showed them the photos on his phone. Not the ones of Emma. Jake had decided they didn't need to see those yet. The ones of the room, the wall, the duffel bag. Rachel didn't cry this time. She was past crying. She sat perfectly still and stared at the phone screen, and something behind her eyes went flat and hard and permanent. "How long has that bag been packed?" she asked. "We don't know, but based on the escalation pattern, probably within the last week." "He was going to take her this week." "Likely, yes." Rachel looked at Jake. "I want him gone. I don't care how. I don't care what it takes. I want him gone." "He will be. But we do this right. Evidence first, police second, court third. If we touch him, he walks on assault charges and disappears to another state and finds another 5-year-old girl. So we just wait?" "We don't wait. We build a case so airtight that no lawyer, no judge, no technicality can get him out. We've already got the plates, the rental history, the registration violation, and now the photos. My lawyer is meeting with the prosecutor's office at 3 o'clock. Tyler hadn't said a word. He sat in a metal folding chair staring at his hands. When he finally spoke, his voice was barely audible. That night when Emma said she heard something at her window, when Rachel checked and said there was nobody there, everyone looked at him. That was him, standing outside my daughter's window, taking pictures, and I was down the hall watching TV. "Tyler, you couldn't have known. I installed the motion light after that. It went off 3 times last week." Rachel said raccoons. I wanted to believe her because the alternative was too terrifying. But it wasn't raccoons. "No," Bone said quietly. "It probably wasn't." Tyler looked at Jake with eyes that held something Jake recognized. The specific agony of a father who had failed to protect his child. Jake knew that look. He saw it in his own mirror every morning. "If you hadn't been in that park today," Tyler said, "what would have happened?" Jake didn't answer. He didn't need to. Every person in that room already knew. At 3:15 that afternoon, Jake's lawyer walked into the Columbus Police Department with a file folder containing Bone's photographs, Pruitt's registration records, his warrant information from 3 states, and a detailed timeline of his movements in Columbus over the past 2 months. Officer Daniels was called to the meeting. When he opened the folder, his face changed. "Where did you get this?" "Concerned citizens observing from public spaces," the lawyer said. "The boarding house landlord consented to the window observation. Everything here was obtained legally." Daniels flipped through the photos. His pen wasn't clicking anymore. His hands were still. This is the same man the Lawson family reported 3 weeks ago. The same man you told them you couldn't do anything about. Daniels had the decency to look sick. I followed protocol. Without evidence. You had evidence. You had a terrified 5-year-old girl telling you she was being followed. You chose not to believe her. That's not. My clients don't care about your protocol. They care that Derek Pruitt has been living 6 blocks from their daughter for 2 months while you waited for actionable evidence. Here's your actionable evidence. What are you going to do with it? Daniels picked up his phone. His hand was shaking. I need to speak with the captain, and I need to issue a bolo immediately. Within an hour, every officer in Columbus had Derek Pruitt's name, photo, and vehicle description. His boarding house was placed under surveillance. His car at Riverside Park was impounded as evidence. But when officers arrived at Maple Street that evening to execute the arrest warrant, the room was empty. The photos were gone from the wall. The duffel bag was gone. The bed was stripped. Derek Pruitt had run. Jake got the call at 8:30 p.m. He was sitting in the Lawsons' living room. Emma was asleep upstairs. Dutch was on the porch. 2 more brothers were parked at each end of the street. He's gone, Bone said. Cleared out. Landlord says he came back around 5, stayed 20 minutes, left with a bag. She didn't know about the warrant yet. Jake closed his eyes. 5 o'clock. 2 hours before the police showed up. Somebody tipped him, or he saw the surveillance and bolted. Which direction? North on 71, best guess, but he could be anywhere by now. Jake looked at Tyler and Rachel. They were sitting on the couch holding hands, waiting for news they could see on his face he didn't want to give. He ran. Rachel closed her eyes. Tyler stood up. So it's over? He just disappears? He doesn't disappear, not from us. Jake pulled out his phone and started making calls, one after another, after another. Presidents of chapters in Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky, West Virginia, men he'd ridden with, men who owed him, men who didn't owe him anything but answered anyway because a child was in danger, and that was enough. I need eyes on every highway, every truck stop, every motel from Columbus to Indianapolis. Derek Pruitt, silver Nissan Altima, but he might have switched vehicles. Red baseball cap, 5'9", thin, brown hair. He's running north, and he's running scared. By midnight, 170 bikers across 4 states were looking for Derek Pruitt. And in a motel room off Interstate 71, 43 miles north of Columbus, a man in a red cap sat on a stained bedspread watching the local news, waiting to see if his name appeared on the screen. His duffel bag was at his feet. Inside it, zip ties, duct tape, sedatives, and a small stuffed bear with the tag still attached. He checked his phone. No alerts, no messages. He allowed himself to relax slightly. He had no idea that a 5-year-old girl had just set 170 wolves on his trail, and they were getting closer by the hour. The call came in at 4:17 in the morning. Jake was dozing in a chair in the Lawsons' living room when his phone buzzed. He'd refused to go home. Dutch was still on the porch. 2 brothers still held each end of the street. The house was locked tight, every window checked twice, the motion light on the side burning steady. Got him. It was Bone. His voice was flat, controlled, the way it got when something big was happening. Where? Motel off I-71, exit 131, place called the Pine Rest Lodge. Brothers out of Mansfield spotted the Altima in the lot 40 minutes ago. Different plates, but same car. Same dent on the rear bumper. He swapped the tags. He's still there? Room 114, ground floor, end unit. Lights were on 20 minutes ago. Went dark 10 minutes ago. He's sleeping, or he's packing. Jake was already standing. Don't touch him. Nobody goes near that room. We need police on this, or he walks. Already called your lawyer. He's waking up the prosecutor. But Jake, there's something else. What? The brothers watched him through the window before the lights went out. He was on a laptop. They couldn't see the screen, but he was scrolling through something. Photos, maybe. And the duffel bag is on the bed. It's open. Jake's jaw tightened so hard his teeth ached. That bag, those zip ties, that stuffed bear. How fast can Mansfield PD get there? Your lawyer says 30 minutes once the warrant clears. 30 minutes is a lifetime. If he bolts again, he's not bolting. We've got 4 bikes in the lot and 2 more on the road out. If that car moves, we'll know before he hits second gear. Jake took a breath, then another. I'm on my way. Jake, it's an hour ride. Then I'd better leave now. He hung up and turned to find Tyler standing in the hallway. He was fully dressed. He'd been listening. I'm coming with you. No. That's my daughter he was going to. I know what he was going to do. That's exactly why you're staying here. If you're within a mile of that man when he's arrested, his lawyer will use it. Emotional father, proximity to the arrest, potential for intimidation. One wrong look from you and this whole thing gets complicated. Tyler's hands were shaking. Not with fear, with rage. The kind that comes from a place so deep, it doesn't have a bottom. I can't just sit here. Yeah, you can. You sit here and you protect your family. That's your job. Let me do mine. Tyler stared at him. 2 fathers, 2 different kinds of pain, 2 different ways of fighting. Bring me something, Tyler said. Bring me proof that he's done. I will. Jake rode through the dark for 53 minutes. The highway was empty. The engine vibrated through his bones. He thought about Mia the whole way. Her laugh, her hiccups on the swings, the way she used to grab his finger and drag him to wherever she wanted to go. He thought about Emma grabbing his hand in the park. 2 little girls, 2 different stories, same desperate need to be protected by someone strong enough to stand between them and the world. He made it to the Pine Rest Lodge at 5:14 a.m. The parking lot held maybe 20 cars. 4 motorcycles were positioned at strategic points, 2 near the exits, 1 by the ice machine with a clear view of room 114, 1 on the road shoulder 50 yards out. Bone was waiting near the vending machines. 2 Mansfield brothers stood with him. Grit, a massive redhead with a beard that reached his chest, and Preacher, a quiet black man with silver temples who'd earned his name by talking men out of fights nobody else could stop. Status? No movement since the lights went off. Car hasn't moved. Laptops still glowing through the curtain. Screensaver, probably. Police? Warrant signed 12 minutes ago. Mansfield PD is en route. ETA 15 minutes. 15 minutes. Jake looked at room 114. A thin wooden door, a window with cheap curtains. Behind that door, a man who had spent 2 months planning to steal a 5-year-old child, who had stood outside her bedroom window in the dark, who had packed a bag with zip ties and sedatives and a stuffed animal to make her trust him for the 3 seconds he needed. 15 minutes. Nobody moves, Jake said. Nobody speaks. We are witnesses. That's all. When the police arrive, we step back. We let them work. Whatever happens in that room, we do not interfere. Understood? Grit nodded. Preacher nodded. Bone adjusted his glasses. I mean it. This man has beaten charges before. He got a conviction overturned on a technicality in Indiana. His lawyer will look for any reason to suppress evidence, any reason to claim his rights were violated. We give them nothing. Not a word, not a gesture, not a threatening look. And if he runs? Grit asked. He won't get past the parking lot, but if he does, we follow, and we call it in. We do not engage. The minutes crawled. At 5:26, 2 Mansfield police cruisers turned into the lot. No sirens, no lights. They parked at angles that blocked the exit routes. 4 officers stepped out. One of them, a sergeant named Walsh, approached Jake. You the one who called this in? Through my attorney, yes. And you've been watching this room? Since my brothers identified the vehicle 4 hours ago. Walsh looked at the bikers, looked at the motorcycles, looked back at Jake. You understand that if any of your people have tampered with anything, we haven't touched a thing. We watch from public areas. We called you. That's it. Walsh studied him for a moment, then nodded. Stay here, all of you. The officers approached room 114. Walsh positioned 2 men at the window, one at the side of the building where a bathroom window might offer an exit. Then he knocked. Derek Pruitt, Mansfield Police Department, open the door. Nothing. Jake's heart hammered. If the room was empty, if he'd slipped out somehow, if there was a back way they'd missed. Walsh knocked again, harder. Mr. Pruitt, we have a warrant for your arrest. Open this door, now. A sound from inside. Movement. Something fell over. A lamp, maybe, or a chair. Then fast, heavy footsteps moving away from the door. He's running, Bone hissed. Walsh kicked the door. It took 2 kicks. The frame splintered on the second one, and the door flew inward. Officers poured through, shouting, commands overlapping. On the ground now, hands where I can see them. Jake heard a crash from the side of the building, the bathroom window. He was right. Pruitt had tried to go through the bathroom window. The officers stationed there had him. Jake heard scuffling, a grunt, more shouting, then silence. Then the crackle of a radio. Suspect in custody, 1 male, identified as Derek Allen Pruitt. Jake exhaled. His hands were trembling. He pressed them flat against his thighs and breathed. Bone put a hand on his shoulder. It's done, brother. Not yet, not until we know what's in that room. They knew within 20 minutes. Walsh came out of room 114 looking like he'd aged 10 years. He walked to Jake, and the professional distance he'd maintained was gone. In its place was something raw. The duffel bag on the bed, zip ties, duct tape, a bottle of liquid sedative, chloral hydrate, a stuffed bear, brand new, tags on, and a set of children's clothes, girls' clothes, size 5. Rachel had told him Emma wore a size 5. The laptop had over 300 images, children, playgrounds, schools, residential areas, multiple states. We count at least 7 different children. Your girl from Columbus appears in over 200 of them. Over 200, not 17 like in the outline. 200. Months of watching, months of mapping her life down to the minute. Some of the photos of her are from inside her yard, taken through a fence. Some appear to be taken through a window at night. There's also what looks like a journal, handwritten entries detailing routines, schedules, names of family members. He had her parents' names? First and last, her father's work schedule, her mother's grocery shopping pattern, the times the motion light malfunctioned. Jake felt the ground tilt. The motion light? According to the journal, he'd figured out a way to approach from an angle that avoided the sensor. He noted when the light was installed and how many nights it took him to find the blind spot. Tyler's motion light, the one he'd installed to protect his daughter. Pruitt had beaten it in 3 nights. There's something else. Walsh's voice dropped. The journal has entries about other children, past targets. He uses a rating system, accessibility, routine predictability, parental awareness. Emma scored highest on his list. He called her... Walsh stopped. Called her what? I'd rather not repeat it. The point is, this man had a fully developed plan. Based on the journal entries, he was going to act within the next 5 to 7 days. 5 to 7 days. 1 more week. If Emma hadn't run to Jake in that park, if she'd gone to the bathroom alone, if she'd been anywhere without someone watching, 1 more week. Jake pulled out his phone and called Tyler. It rang twice. Tell me. They got him. He's in custody. He tried to run through a bathroom window and they caught him. Tyler made a sound that wasn't a word. It was the sound of a man releasing a breath he'd been holding for 26 days. What did they find? Everything. Photos, zip ties, sedatives, a plan. Tyler, he had your work schedule written down. He knew when Rachel went to Kroger. He knew about the motion light. Silence. Then Tyler's voice, barely controlled. He knew about the motion light? He found a way around it. More silence. Jake heard Rachel in the background asking what happened. Tyler's muffled voice telling her. Then Rachel's scream, not fear, not grief, something else entirely. Relief so violent it sounded like pain. Tyler came back on the line. Did he have clothes in the bag? Tyler, did he have clothes for her? Jake closed his eyes. Yes. The right size? Yes. The line went silent for so long Jake thought Tyler had hung up. Then a whisper. Thank you, God, thank you. It's not over yet. There's a trial coming. There's going to be media. Your family needs to be ready. We'll be ready, Jake? Yeah. When Emma wakes up, can you be here? She's going to want to know it's really over. She'll believe it from you. I'll be there by 8. Jake hung up. He stood in the parking lot of the Pine Rest Lodge while the sun came up and police moved in and out of room 114 carrying evidence bags. He watched them load Derek Pruitt into the back of a cruiser. Pruitt's red cap was gone. Without it, he looked ordinary, forgettable. The kind of man you'd pass on the street without a second glance. The kind of man a 5-year-old girl had seen through when every adult around her couldn't. Bone appeared beside him. Media's going to be all over this by noon. I know. You ready for that? Doesn't matter if I'm ready. What matters is that family is ready. There's something else you should know. Jake looked at him. While I was running Pruitt's background, I pulled news archives from his previous locations. The girl in Fort Wayne, Olivia Marsh, her family went through the same thing Emma's family did. They reported the stalking to police. The police said there wasn't enough evidence. The school said the girl was anxious. A psychologist said she was projecting fears. 6 weeks later, Pruitt grabbed her from a park. I know this already. What you don't know is that Olivia's mother killed herself 8 months after her daughter was recovered. The guilt of not believing her. The guilt of letting it happen. She couldn't live with it. Jake stared at him. That's who this man destroys, Jake. Not just the children, the whole family. Everyone who didn't listen until it was too late. He shatters them and moves on to the next one. Jake thought about Rachel throwing up in the kitchen sink, about Tyler punching walls and crying on the floor, about Emma drawing pictures of a man at her window and hiding them under her pillow because nobody would look at them. Not this time, Jake said. No, not this time. Jake rode back to Columbus as the sun climbed. He stopped once at a gas station and bought a strawberry popsicle, the same kind he used to buy Mia. He kept it in his jacket pocket where his body heat would destroy it, but he didn't care. It wasn't really for eating. He pulled up to the Lawson house at 7:48 a.m. Dutch was still on the porch. He nodded at Jake as he climbed the steps. She's been up since 6, asking for you. Jake went inside. Tyler and Rachel were in the kitchen. Rachel's eyes were red, but her face had changed overnight. The fear was gone. In its place was something harder, fiercer, the face of a mother who now understood exactly how close she'd come to losing everything. She's in the living room, Rachel said. Jake found Emma on the couch in her pajamas, Mr. Buttons clutched to her chest, watching cartoons she wasn't really watching. When she saw him, her whole face transformed. Hammer! She jumped off the couch and ran to him. He crouched down and she threw her arms around his neck. Did you catch him? The police caught him. Last night. He's in jail, Emma. For real? For real. He can't follow you anymore. He can't come near your house. He can't come near your school. He's done. Emma pulled back and looked at his face, searching, checking. 5 years old and she'd already learned that adults didn't always tell the truth. You promise? Like you promised at the park? I promise, just like I promised. What's going to happen to him? He's going to go to court, and then he's going to prison for a very, very long time. Good. Emma said it without hesitation, without softness. Good. The word of a child who had spent 26 days in hell and wasn't sorry it was over for someone else now. Then she noticed the popsicle melting through his jacket pocket. "Is that for me?" Jake laughed. It came out rough, cracked, the laugh of a man who hadn't slept in 30 hours and had just helped catch a monster. "Yeah, kid, it's for you. It's a little melted, though." "I don't care. I like melted ones." She took the popsicle and sat back on the couch and ate it while strawberry juice ran down her chin and dripped onto her pajamas. She looked like any other 5-year-old on any other morning. Messy, happy, safe. Rachel appeared in the doorway. She watched her daughter eat the popsicle, and something broke loose in her chest. "I should have believed her from the first day," she whispered to Jake. "She told me. She looked me in the eyes and told me, and I said he was probably waiting for his own kid. You couldn't have known. I'm her mother. I should have known. Every instinct I had should have screamed at me to listen to my child, and instead I listened to logic and statistics and a psychologist who'd never met the man following my daughter. Rachel, you called the police. You took her to a professional. You did what every parent would do. And it wasn't enough. No, it wasn't. But that's not your failure. That's the system's failure." Rachel wiped her eyes. The system. Everyone keeps saying the system failed, but the system is just people. People who didn't listen, including me. Jake had no argument for that, because she was right. Tyler appeared behind Rachel. He'd been on the phone. "The news already picked it up. Local stations are running it at noon." The prosecutor's office issued a statement. What did they say? "Serial child stalker apprehended in Mansfield after community tip leads to arrest." They're crediting concerned citizens. Concerned citizens. Jake almost smiled. That's one way to put it. There's more. The prosecutor wants to talk to us this afternoon. They're building a case not just for Emma, for all the children in those photos. They've identified 5 other kids from the laptop. 3 families have already come forward. 3 families with the same story, Rachel said quietly. 3 other mothers who didn't believe their children. "And 1 family where they did believe," Tyler said. "The girl in Fort Wayne. Her parents reported it for weeks. Nobody listened either." The weight of it settled over all of them. This wasn't just about Emma. This was a pattern. A system of failure repeated across states and years. A predator who thrived in the gap between a child's truth and an adult's disbelief. Jake's phone buzzed. A text from Bone. 3 words that hit harder than anything else that morning. Danielle called. She saw the news. Jake stared at the screen. Danielle, his ex-wife. The woman who'd taken Mia and moved 2,000 miles away because she couldn't trust him. The woman who'd ignored his calls for 2 years. The woman who'd decided that whatever Jake was, it wasn't safe enough for their daughter. She'd seen the news. She knew what he'd done. She knew the man she'd written off as a lost cause had just helped save a child's life. He put the phone back in his pocket. He couldn't deal with that now. Not yet. Not with everything else still unfinished. "Jake?" Rachel was watching him. "You okay?" "Fine." "You don't look fine." "My ex-wife saw the news. She has my daughter. We haven't spoken in a long time." Rachel studied him. This man who had dropped everything to protect a stranger's child, while his own child lived 2,000 miles beyond his reach. "She'll call," Rachel said. "When she sees who you really are, she'll call." Jake looked at Emma, strawberry juice on her chin, Mr. Buttons tucked under one arm, the first real peace on her face in almost a month. "Maybe," he said, but his hand went to his phone in his pocket, and he held it there, waiting for it to ring, hoping for a miracle he wasn't sure he deserved. Down the hallway, Emma finished her popsicle and turned to Tyler. "Daddy?" "Yeah, Bug? I told you he was real." Tyler knelt in front of his daughter. His eyes were wet. His voice cracked on every word. "You did, baby. You told us, and you were right. You were right the whole time. You didn't believe me." "No. Emma put her small hands on her father's cheeks, sticky with strawberry, steady as stone. Hammer believed me, and he found you, and you all caught the bad man together, so it's okay. Tyler pulled her into his arms and held her and cried into her hair. Rachel came and wrapped her arms around both of them. Jake watched from the doorway and felt something crack open in his chest that he'd been holding shut for 2 years. This was what family looked like. This was what he'd lost. This was what he'd give anything to get back. His phone buzzed again in his pocket. He pulled it out. A text from an unknown number, a Portland area code. Mia saw you on TV this morning. She says that's her daddy and he's a hero. Can we talk? Jake Brennan sat down on the Lawson stairs and read the message 4 times. Then he pressed the phone against his forehead and closed his eyes, and let himself feel something he hadn't allowed himself to feel in 731 days. Hope. Jake didn't call the Portland number back for 3 hours. He sat on the Lawson stairs staring at Danielle's text while the house moved around him. Rachel making breakfast, Tyler on the phone with the prosecutor, Emma watching cartoons with Dutch, who had somehow become her personal bodyguard and didn't seem to mind at all. 3 hours, because Jake Brennan, a man who had stared down a child predator without blinking, who had coordinated 170 bikers across 4 states, who had kicked in more doors than he could count in his younger days, that man was terrified of a text message from a woman in Portland. You gonna stare at that phone all day, or you gonna answer her? Bone had come inside. He was leaning against the wall with a cup of coffee, watching Jake with that quiet, knowing look he had. I don't know what to say. You say hello. You say I got your message. You say I'd like to talk about Mia. It's not complicated. It's the most complicated thing in my life. Brother, you just helped catch a serial child stalker. You coordinated a manhunt across 4 states. You're telling me you can't call your ex-wife? Those things made sense. This doesn't make sense. 2 years she won't answer my calls. 2 years I send birthday gifts that come back unopened. Now she sees me on TV and suddenly she wants to talk? Yeah, because she saw who you are. Not who she thought you were or who she was afraid you were. Who you actually are. A man who drops everything to protect a child he's never met. You think that doesn't change things for a mother? Jake looked at the phone again. What if she's just reacting to the news? What if she changes her mind tomorrow? Then you'll deal with it tomorrow, but you won't know until you call. Jake pressed the number. It rang 4 times. He was about to hang up when she answered. Jake, her voice. 2 years and it still landed like a punch to the chest. Danielle, I didn't know if you'd call. I didn't know if I should. Silence, the kind that holds everything that was never said. Every argument, every disappointment, every night Jake lay awake wondering if his daughter remembered his face. Mia saw the news this morning, Danielle said. I was watching before she woke up and she came into the kitchen, and there you were on the screen. She pointed and said, "That's my daddy." Just like that, no hesitation. She recognized you immediately. Jake couldn't speak. She asked me why you were on TV and I told her you helped save a little girl. And she said, "Daddy saves people?" And I said, "Yes, your daddy saves people." Danielle, I was wrong, Jake. I was angry and I was scared and I convinced myself that you weren't safe for her. That your life, the club, the riding, the people you were around, it was too much, too dangerous. And maybe some of that was true. But what I saw on that news report, the way that little girl looked at you, the way her parents talked about you, that's not a dangerous man. That's a father. Jake pressed his palm against his eyes. His hand was wet. I've been trying to tell you that for 2 years. I know, and I'm sorry I couldn't hear it. I'm sorry I took her away. I'm sorry I didn't answer your calls. Does she ask about me? Danielle's voice cracked. Every day. She has the photo from the park on her nightstand, the one from the swings. She tells everyone at school about her daddy in Ohio. Jake made a sound that was supposed to be a word but came out as something broken. I want to fix this, Danielle said. I want Mia to know her father. I want to work out something real. Custody, visits, whatever it takes. She needs you, Jake. I should have seen that a long time ago. Can I talk to her? She's right here. She's been standing next to me the whole time making faces at the phone. A rustling sound. Then a small voice that Jake would have recognized in a crowd of 10,000. Daddy? Hey, baby girl. I saw you on TV. You saved a little girl from a bad man. I helped. A lot of people helped. Mommy said you're a hero. I'm not a hero, sweetheart. I just did what anybody would do. The girl on TV said you were the only one who believed her. That makes you a hero, Daddy. Jake laughed through tears. 5 years old, just like Emma, and already smarter than every adult in the room. I missed you, Mia. I missed you every single day. I missed you too. Mommy says maybe I can come visit. Can I? Can I come to Ohio? Jake looked up at the ceiling and let the tears fall. Yeah, baby, you can come to Ohio. Anytime you want. This weekend? We'll figure it out. But soon. Real soon. Daddy? The girl you saved, the one on TV, is she okay? Jake looked into the living room where Emma was sitting cross-legged on the carpet, showing Dutch how to draw a horse. She was using 6 crayons at once, switching between them without looking, completely absorbed. Yeah, Mia, she's okay. She's really okay. Can I meet her? She's brave. I want to be her friend. I think she'd like that. I love you, Daddy. 3 words. 3 words that filled a hole 2 years wide and 1,000 miles deep. I love you too, baby girl, more than anything in the whole world. He hung up and sat there on the stairs for a long time. Bone had disappeared, given him privacy. The house hummed with morning sounds. Coffee machine, cartoons, Emma giggling at something Dutch said. Rachel found him there 10 minutes later. She took one look at his face and sat down beside him. Good news? My ex-wife wants to work out custody. My daughter wants to come to Ohio. Rachel put her hand on his arm. You deserve this, Jake. I'm not sure about that. I am. The man who saved my daughter deserves to hold his own. Jake looked at her. This mother who had doubted her child and was living with that guilt. This woman whose world had been torn apart and rebuilt by strangers. You're a good mom, Rachel. I need you to know that. Good moms believe their kids. Good moms keep trying even when they make mistakes. Emma knows you love her. That's what she'll remember. Rachel leaned her head against the wall. She drew pictures, you know, of the man at her window. She hid them under her pillow. I found them this morning when I changed her sheets. 23 drawings. She drew him 23 times and never showed us because she thought we'd say she was imagining things. She won't have to hide anymore. No, she won't. The media storm hit that afternoon and didn't stop for 2 weeks. The story had everything. A 5-year-old stalked for a month. Parents who didn't believe her. Police who dismissed her. A child psychologist who called it anxiety. And then a biker, a member of a motorcycle brotherhood, the kind of man society wrote off as trouble, who believed her in 3 seconds and mobilized an army to catch a predator the system couldn't stop. National networks picked it up by day 2. By day 4, it was everywhere. Emma's face, blurred for her protection but still heartbreaking, appeared on every major news channel. Jake's photo, unblurred and unmistakable, became the face of a debate nobody had expected. The police held a press conference on day 3. Officer Daniel stood behind the captain, his face rigid. The captain read a prepared statement about community partnership and collaborative law enforcement and the importance of public vigilance. That's garbage, Tyler said, watching from his living room. They blew us off and now they're taking credit. Let them, Jake said. As long as Pruitt stays locked up, I don't care who takes credit. You should care. If people think the police handled this, they won't push for changes. The next family that calls about a stalker gets the same speech Emma got. Come back when you have evidence. Tyler was right, and Jake knew it. But the trial was coming, and that mattered more than press conferences. The prosecutor, a sharp-eyed woman named Catherine Marks, called them in on a Thursday. Her office was stacked with files. Pruitt's case files. Not just from Ohio, from Indiana, Kentucky, West Virginia, and now Missouri, where another family had come forward after seeing the news. We're building something unprecedented, Marks told them. Pruitt's pattern spans nearly a decade. 7 confirmed targets across 5 states. He's been arrested twice, charged once, convicted once, and that conviction was overturned because the arresting officer in Indiana compromised the chain of evidence. It was overturned on a technicality, Jake said, while a 6-year-old girl's family fell apart. Yes, Olivia Marsh. Her mother, Linda Marsh, took her own life 8 months after Olivia was recovered. Rachel inhaled sharply. Tyler grabbed her hand. I'm telling you this because you need to understand the stakes. Pruitt knows the system. His lawyer, a man named Gerald Foss, specializes in getting predators off on procedural errors. He will challenge every piece of evidence. He will question how the bikers obtained information. He will argue entrapment, illegal surveillance, violation of privacy. Everything was obtained legally, Jake said. My lawyer confirmed it. Public observation, landlord consent, anonymous tips to police. I believe that, but Foss will try to muddy the water. He'll put you on trial, Mr. Brennan. Your record, your associations, your club. He'll try to make the jury see you as a vigilante, not a witness. I don't care what he calls me. You might care when he subpoenas your custody records and your arrest history and paints you as an unstable man with a savior complex. Jake's jaw set. Let him try. Marks leaned forward. I'm not trying to discourage you. I'm trying to prepare you. Because there's something else. We want Emma to testify. Rachel's reaction was immediate. No, absolutely not. Mrs. Lawson, she's 5 years old. You want her to sit in a courtroom and face the man who stalked her? Who stood outside her window? Who packed a bag to take her? I understand your hesitation. This isn't hesitation. This is a hard no. She's been through enough. Tyler said nothing. He was looking at the table thinking, Emma's testimony would be the centerpiece of our case, Marks continued. A jury needs to see the human impact. The photos are devastating, yes. The journal is damning. But a 5-year-old girl telling a courtroom that nobody believed her, that's what convicts. At what cost? Rachel demanded. Her therapist says she's finally sleeping through the night. She's starting to smile again. You want to drag her back into that nightmare? We have victim advocates. We can arrange testimony via closed-circuit video. She wouldn't have to be in the same room as Pruitt. She'd still have to relive it. Marks turned to Tyler. Mr. Lawson? Tyler looked up. How many other kids are in those photos? 7 confirmed. 3 families have come forward. Are those kids going to testify? 2 of them are, yes. Then Emma needs to be part of this. If other kids are brave enough to stand up, our daughter should be too. Rachel stared at him. Tyler, I know what I'm saying, but think about what Emma said to Jake the first day. She said nobody believed her. This is her chance to be believed. In public, on record, in a way that puts this man away forever. She's 5. She's the bravest 5-year-old I've ever known, and she's tougher than both of us. Rachel looked at Jake. What do you think? I think it should be Emma's choice, not ours. They asked Emma that night. Rachel knelt in front of her at bedtime, Mr. Buttons between them, and explained what testifying meant in the simplest words she could find. The judge wants you to tell the truth about what happened, about the man in the red cap. You'd sit in a special chair and a nice lady would ask you questions, and you'd answer them. The bad man would be there, but he can't touch you. He can't come near you. And Hammer said he'll be in the room the whole time. Emma thought about it, really thought about it. Not the way a 5-year-old thinks about ice cream flavors or which cartoon to watch. the way a person thinks about something that matters. Will it help the other kids? What other kids? The ones in his pictures, the other kids he followed. Hammer told me there were more. Rachel looked over her shoulder at Tyler, who stood in the doorway. She hadn't known Jake told Emma about the other children. Yes, baby, it would help them. Then I want to do it. He made me feel like I was crazy, like nobody would ever believe me. I want him to sit there and watch everybody believe me. Rachel pulled her daughter close and held her until Emma squirmed and said she couldn't breathe. The trial started 4 months later in a Columbus courtroom packed beyond capacity. Media lined the hallway. Cameras weren't allowed inside, but sketch artists filled every available seat. Gerald Foss, Pruitt's lawyer, was exactly what Marks had warned about. Slick, precise, relentless. He filed motions to suppress the biker-obtained evidence. He argued that Bone's surveillance of the boarding house constituted illegal search. He challenged the landlord's consent. He questioned the chain of custody on the laptop. The judge denied every motion. The evidence stood. Foss shifted tactics. In his opening statement, he didn't deny Pruitt was at the park. He didn't deny the photos. Instead, he painted a picture of a mentally ill man, a victim of his own compulsions, led into a trap by vigilantes who had already decided his guilt. My client is a sick man who needs treatment, not imprisonment. And the so-called evidence in this case was gathered not by law enforcement, but by members of a motorcycle gang with a documented history of criminal activity. This is not justice. This is a lynching in leather. Jake sat in the gallery and didn't react. Bone beside him twitched once. 14 iron wolves filled the row behind them. Clean shirts, no vests, no patches. Just men sitting quietly, watching. The prosecution's case took 6 days. Marks walked the jury through everything. The photos, the journal, the duffel bag with its zip ties and sedatives, and size 5 children's clothes. The testimony of the Mansfield officers who'd kicked in the motel room door. The testimony of the landlord who'd consented to the window check. The forensic analysis of the laptop that revealed search histories no human should have to read. 3 other families testified. A mother from Kentucky who broke down on the stand, describing how her son had tried to tell her about a man watching him at the bus stop. A father from West Virginia who punched the wall of the witness room after describing photos of his daughter found on Pruitt's laptop. A grandmother from Missouri who had raised her granddaughter alone and noticed the man following them to church every Sunday for a month before the arrest. Each story was the same. Child reports something wrong. Adults don't believe them. System fails to act. Pruitt gets closer and closer. Then it was Emma's turn. She testified via closed-circuit video from a room down the hall. The jury watched on a screen. Emma sat in a chair that was too big for her, feet dangling above the floor, Mr. Buttons in her lap. A victim advocate sat beside her. Through the camera, she could see the courtroom. She could see Pruitt. Emma, can you tell us what happened, starting from the first time you saw the man in the red cap? Emma spoke clearly. No tears, no hesitation. She told them about the fire hydrant, about the Kroger, about the library, about the sound at her window, about the drawings she hid under her pillow, about the police officer who said there was nothing he could do, about the psychologist who said she was imagining things. I wasn't imagining things, he was real. He was following me every day. I told everyone and nobody listened. What happened at Riverside Park? He was walking toward me. I knew he was going to take me. I could feel it. So I ran to the biggest, scariest person I could see. Hammer. He's not actually scary though. He's nice. Why did you choose someone who looked scary? Because I thought the bad man would be afraid of him. And he was. Hammer stood up and the bad man walked away. Emma, I need to ask you something difficult. During those weeks when nobody believed you, how did that feel? Emma was quiet for a moment. When she spoke, her voice was smaller. Like I was invisible. Like I was screaming and nobody could hear me. I stopped telling people because it made them look at me like I was broken. And I wasn't broken. I was right. In the courtroom, several jurors were crying. Rachel was crying. Tyler had his head in his hands. Jake sat perfectly still, his eyes locked on the screen, watching this 5-year-old girl do something most adults couldn't: stand up and tell the truth when the whole world had told her she was wrong. Foss's cross-examination lasted 9 minutes. He asked Emma about her memory, about whether she could really be sure it was the same man every time, about whether anyone had coached her testimony. Emma answered every question the same way: calm, direct, unshakable. Nobody coached me. I'm just telling you what happened. Foss sat down looking like a man who knew he'd lost. Closing arguments took half a day. Marks finished with a single photograph on the screen, the one taken through the gap in the Lawsons' fence, Emma playing in her backyard, completely unaware she was being watched. This child told the truth for 26 days straight. Every adult around her failed. Every system designed to protect her failed. The only person who believed her was a stranger on a park bench. That stranger shouldn't have been necessary, but he was, because we failed Emma Lawson. This jury has the chance to make sure that failure ends here. The jury deliberated for 3 hours and 41 minutes. Guilty. Every count. All 5 states' charges consolidated. The judge set sentencing for 2 weeks later. When the verdict was read, Emma was in the hallway with Rachel. They heard the roar from inside the courtroom. Rachel held Emma and Emma held Mr. Buttons, and neither of them made a sound. Jake came through the courtroom doors and found them. He crouched down to Emma's level. Guilty, kid. All of it. Emma nodded. Good. You did that. Your testimony, your words. You put him away. We all did it. You and Bone and Daddy and Mommy and the police lady and everybody. But it started with you. You told the truth when nobody would listen, and you kept telling it. Emma looked at him with those steady eyes. 5 years old, and she'd already learned the hardest lesson most people never learned at all. That being right and being believed were 2 different things, and sometimes you had to fight for both. Hammer? Yeah? Is Mia really coming to visit? Jake smiled. Danielle had booked flights the week before. Mia was arriving on Saturday. 3 more days. I'm going to teach her how to draw horses. She'd love that. Emma reached up and put her hand on Jake's cheek. The same gesture she'd used with Tyler. Small hand, sticky fingers, absolute certainty. Thank you for believing me. Jake covered her hand with his. Thank you for trusting me. 2 weeks later, Derek Allen Pruitt was sentenced to 35 years to life with no possibility of parole for 25 years. Additional charges in Indiana and Kentucky guaranteed he would never breathe free air again. The judge, before passing sentence, looked directly at Pruitt and said something the courtroom would never forget. A 5-year-old child showed more courage and clarity than every institution that was supposed to protect her. This court will not fail her again. Jake was in the gallery when the sentence came down. Mia was sitting on his lap. She had arrived 3 days earlier, and she hadn't left his side since. She didn't understand everything that was happening, but she understood that her daddy had helped a little girl named Emma, and that the bad man was going away forever, and that was enough. Tyler and Rachel sat across the aisle. Rachel reached over and squeezed Jake's hand. No words necessary, just gratitude so deep it didn't fit in language. Emma wasn't in the courtroom for sentencing. She was at home with Dutch, drawing horses and eating popsicles, and being 5 years old, which was exactly what she should have been doing all along. That evening, Jake sat on the Lawsons' back porch, watching Emma and Mia chase fireflies in the yard. 2 little girls, one who had survived a monster and one who had survived her parents' broken marriage. Both of them laughing now. Both of them safe. Danielle sat beside him. She'd come with Mia, had stayed for the sentencing, had watched Jake move through the world she'd once fled from, and seen something she hadn't expected to find. She adores you, Danielle said. watching Mia shriek as a firefly landed on her nose. The feeling is mutual. I've been thinking, Danielle folded her hands in her lap. Portland is too far. Mia needs her father more than every other weekend. She needs you in her life consistently. Jake looked at her, carefully, not wanting to hope too hard. What are you saying? I'm saying I'm looking at jobs in Columbus. I'm saying I want to move back. I'm saying I want us to figure this out, not as a couple, but as parents. Real parents. Together. Jake felt something shift in his chest. Not a crack, not a break. A mending. Something that had been torn for 2 years slowly, carefully knitting itself back together. I'd like that. I know I hurt you. I know 2 years is a long time. It's over now. Just like that? Just like that. You're bringing my daughter home. Nothing else matters. Mia ran up to the porch, breathless, a firefly cupped in her hands. Daddy, look! I caught one. Emma showed me how. That's amazing, baby. Emma says if you catch one and make a wish and let it go, the wish comes true. Is that real? Jake looked at Danielle, looked at Mia, looked at Emma across the yard, this fierce little girl who had changed everything. Yeah, sweetheart, I think it might be real. Mia opened her hands. The firefly floated up into the darkening sky, blinking gold against the blue. I wished for us to be a family again, Mia whispered. Jake pulled her close. Me too, baby. Me too. 5 years changed everything and nothing. Emma Lawson was 10 years old the morning she stood backstage at the National Child Safety Conference in Chicago, holding a stack of index cards she'd memorized 3 days ago, but carried anyway because her hands needed something to do. You nervous? Mia Brennan was sitting on a folding chair beside her, legs swinging, eating a granola bar like they were at a picnic instead of a conference center with 2,000 people on the other side of the curtain. A little. You spoke at the Columbus one last year, and you didn't even shake. That was 200 people. This is 2,000. So, same words, same story, just more ears. Emma laughed. Mia had that effect. She'd had it since the first day they met, when Jake brought her to Emma's 6th birthday party, and Mia walked straight up to Emma and said, My daddy says you're brave. I think we should be best friends. And that was that. No negotiation, no awkwardness, just two girls who recognized something in each other that nobody else could see. Your dad's out there? Front row, with my mom. They've been arguing about where to eat dinner for 20 minutes. It's actually really cute. Emma smiled. Jake and Danielle had remarried the previous year, a small ceremony at the Iron Wolves clubhouse, of all places. Emma had been the flower girl. Mia had been the ring bearer because she'd insisted that flower girls were boring and she wanted the important job. Your parents here too? Mia asked. Second row. Mom's already crying and I haven't even started yet. Classic Rachel. Don't be mean. I'm not being mean. I love your mom. She's just a crier. A conference organizer poked her head backstage. Emma, 5 minutes. Emma's stomach dropped. She looked at her index cards. The words blurred together. 5 years of therapy, 5 years of healing, 5 years of slowly rebuilding the parts of herself that Derek Pruitt had tried to break. And it all came down to standing in front of strangers and saying it out loud. Mia grabbed her hand. Hey, you know who's in that audience? Social workers, police officers, parents, teachers, people who have the power to believe a kid the first time. You're going to walk out there and make sure they do. When did you get so smart? I've always been smart, you just weren't paying attention. Emma squeezed her hand, took a breath and walked toward the stage. The applause when she stepped out was immediate. She wasn't a secret anymore. The blurred face from the news coverage had been replaced by a name, a foundation, a movement that had grown far beyond anything anyone had imagined. She found Jake in the front row. He was sitting between Danielle and Mia's empty chair. He looked different than he had 5 years ago. Not softer, Jake would never be soft, but settled. Like a man who had finally stopped fighting the world and started building something in it. Beside him, Tyler and Rachel. Tyler had gone gray at the temples. Rachel's hand was already pressed against her mouth. Behind them, Bone, Dutch, Grit, Preacher, and 8 other iron wolves who had ridden through the night 5 years ago to hunt a predator. They were older now. Some had families of their own. All of them still rode. All of them still answered when the call came. Emma set her index cards on the podium and didn't look at them once. When I was 5 years old, a man followed me for 26 days. Her voice was steady, clear. The voice of a girl who had spent 5 years learning that the truth didn't need decoration. I told my mother. She said he was probably waiting for his own kid. I told my father. He believed me at first, then he stopped. I told a police officer. He said there was nothing he could do. I told a psychologist. She said I was anxious. I drew 23 pictures of the man at my window and hid them under my pillow because I was afraid that if I showed anyone, they'd tell me I was crazy. 2,000 people sat in absolute silence. For 26 days, I lived in a world where I was the only person who knew I was in danger. I was 5. I couldn't drive. I couldn't call a lawyer. I couldn't protect myself. All I could do was tell the truth and hope someone would listen. Nobody did. She paused. Not for effect, because the next part still hurt, even after 5 years, even after therapy, even after everything. On day 26, the man came for me in a park. He was walking straight toward me, and I knew, the way you know when something terrible is about to happen, that if I didn't do something right then, I wouldn't get another chance. She looked at Jake. So I ran to the scariest person I could find. A man covered in tattoos, sitting alone on a bench. I grabbed his hand and begged him to help me. Jake held her gaze, steady, unblinking, the same way he'd held it in a park 5 years ago when she'd been shaking so hard she could barely speak. That man's name is Jake Brennan. He's an iron wolf, a biker, the kind of person most parents teach their children to avoid. He believed me in 3 seconds. 3 seconds. After 26 days of being dismissed by every person in every system that was supposed to protect me, a stranger on a park bench did what nobody else would do. He stood up. Emma clicked to a photo on the screen behind her. Jake surrounded by children at a Shield Riders event. Laughing. Alive. A man transformed. Jake didn't just save me that day. He mobilized 170 bikers across 4 states to find the man who was stalking me. They found his car. They found his room 6 blocks from my house. They found photographs of me and 7 other children he had been hunting. They found a bag packed with zip ties, sedatives, and children's clothes in my size. He was days away from taking me. Rachel made a sound from the second row. Tyler put his arm around her. The man who stalked me is serving 35 years to life in prison. He will never touch a child again. But here's what keeps me up at night sometimes. Even now, what if I hadn't run to Jake? What if there hadn't been a biker in that park? What if I'd gone to the bathroom alone like I told my parents I was doing? She let the questions sit. Let them press against 2,000 chests. I got lucky. That's the truth nobody wants to say. I didn't get saved by the system. I got saved by luck. A stranger happened to be in the right place. A stranger happened to believe me. A stranger happened to have 170 brothers willing to ride through the night for a kid they'd never met. Emma's voice shifted. Harder. The 10-year-old disappeared and something older took her place. Not every child is that lucky. Right now, somewhere in this country, a kid is trying to tell someone that something is wrong, and the adult they're telling is saying, "You're imagining things." Right now, a child is drawing pictures of what scares them and hiding those pictures because they've learned that showing them only makes adults uncomfortable. Right now, a predator is watching a child and counting the days because he knows that nobody is listening. She looked at the audience, social workers with notebooks, police officers with badges, parents with guilt already forming behind their eyes. I'm not here to tell you that bikers are better than police. I'm not here to blame my parents or Officer Daniels or Dr. Calloway. They're good people. They did what they thought was right, but they were wrong. And being wrong about a child's safety isn't like being wrong about the weather. It's the difference between a kid going home and a kid disappearing. She clicked to her final slide. A photograph of herself at 5 years old, taken the day after the arrest. She was sitting on the Lawsons' front porch eating a strawberry popsicle. Jake was beside her. Dutch was behind them. She was smiling for the first time in a month. After Jake helped save me, he started something called Shield Riders, bikers who volunteer to protect children in dangerous situations. They escort kids to court. They stand watch outside homes where stalkers have been reported. They show up at custody exchanges. They become the wall between a child and the person trying to hurt them. In 5 years, Shield Riders has grown to 2,000 volunteers in 22 states. They've helped protect over 400 children. She looked at Jake. He was crying. He didn't try to hide it. Danielle had her hand on his knee. Mia had snuck back to her seat and was pressing against his side. All of that started because a 5-year-old girl grabbed a stranger's hand. One moment, one choice, one man who believed a child when nobody else would. Emma straightened her shoulders. My name is Emma Lawson. When I was 5, a biker saved my life. Now we're working to make sure every child has someone who will do the same. Believe your children. Listen to them. And when a kid tells you something is wrong, stand up, because standing up is all it takes. The silence lasted 3 full seconds. Then 2,000 people rose to their feet and the applause hit like a wave. Emma found Jake in the hallway afterward. He was leaning against the wall, Mia on one side, Danielle on the other. His eyes were still red. Good speech, kid. Thanks. I was nervous. Didn't show. Emma leaned against the wall beside him. She came up to his shoulder now, growing fast, growing fierce. Mia wants to volunteer with Shield Riders when she's old enough. She tells me every day. She looks up to you. She looks up to you too. You're her hero, the girl who trusted her daddy when nobody else did. Emma was quiet for a moment. Do you ever think about what would have happened if I hadn't run to you? Jake had thought about it. In his darkest moments, in the middle of the night when sleep wouldn't come and the what-ifs pressed down like stones. Yeah, I do. Me too. He would have taken me. I know that now. The journal said he was 5 days away. But he didn't take you. Because of you. Because of both of us. You made the choice to run. That took everything you had. I was terrified. That's what courage is. Being terrified and doing the right thing anyway. Emma smiled. You sound like my therapist. Your therapist is a smart lady. They stood in comfortable silence, 2,000 people milling around them, social workers exchanging cards, police officers talking to parents, a world slowly, imperfectly learning to listen to its children. Hey, Hammer. Yeah? Thank you for believing me, for everything after. Jake put his arm around her shoulders, carefully, the way he'd learned. Thank you, Emma, for trusting me when you had no reason to, for making me want to be the man you thought I was. You were always that man. You just didn't know it yet. Tyler and Rachel appeared with Noah on Tyler's hip. Emma's little brother, 3 years old, named for new beginnings. He reached for Emma, and she took him, balancing him on her hip like she'd done it 1,000 times. Hungry? Tyler asked. Starving. Mia wants deep dish pizza. Mia always wants deep dish pizza. They walked out together, all of them, the Lawsons and the Brennans, 2 families forged by a moment in a park 5 years ago. Tyler and Jake walked side by side, Rachel and Danielle behind them, talking about Noah's preschool options. Emma and Mia in front, Noah between them, holding both their hands. Jake watched his daughter walk beside the girl who had changed his life. Mia was laughing at something Emma said. Emma was laughing back. 2 girls, one who had survived a monster, one who had survived her parents' broken world. Both of them whole, both of them strong, both of them proof that the worst things in life could become the foundation for something unbreakable. 5 years ago, 170 bikers had answered a call because a 5-year-old girl grabbed a stranger's hand in a park. That single act of desperate, impossible trust had caught a predator, reunited a father with his daughter, healed 2 families, and built a movement that protected hundreds of children across 22 states. It had proven that heroes didn't wear capes or carry badges. Sometimes they wore leather and rode motorcycles. Sometimes they were covered in tattoos and carried pain so deep it didn't have a name. And sometimes, the most important sometimes, the hero was the smallest person in the room. A 5-year-old girl who refused to stop telling the truth, who ran toward fear instead of away from it, who grabbed a stranger's hand and whispered 3 words that changed everything. "He's following me." And one man stood up. That was enough. That was everything. That was the moment the whole world should have learned what Emma Lawson knew at 5 years old. That believing a child isn't just kindness. It's the difference between saving a life and losing one forever.